The 22nd of July 2026. This is a brand new edition of Newsfirst's Primetime News, coming to you live and direct from our Newsfirst studios in Colombo. Bringing you tonight's bulletin for the Newsfirst team, I am Jaimal Ratnayaka.
And I'm Umitra Bekun. Let's take a look at your headlines for tonight.
The headlines on Newsfirst.
CID tells Parliament nearly $715 million sent abroad through misused electronic transfers. Ex-State Minister Shantha Bandara's son in detention over 20 million rupee robbery probe. Gotabaya Rajapaksa's former private secretary remanded once again. 2 adults killed, 3 students injured after 3-wheeler plunges near Mohini Falls. Sri Lanka's passport regains global ground. Sri Lanka's export earnings surpass $9 billion in first 6 months of 2026.
In your top story for tonight, between January 2023 and March 2026, nearly $715 million is alleged to have been transferred out of Sri Lanka through the misuse of telegraphic transfers under the guise of importing goods, according to a revelation made by Senior Deputy Inspector General of Police Asaga Karavita of the Criminal Investigation Department before the Committee on Public Finance.
The amount involved is estimated at approximately 214.7 billion rupees. Investigations have revealed that the funds were remitted overseas purportedly for the importation of goods, despite the correspondent goods allegedly never being brought into the country.
බාණ්ඩ ආනයනය සිදු කරන බවට හඟවා විදේශ රටවලට මුදල් ප්‍රේෂණය සිදු කර බාණ්ඩ ආනයනය නොකිරීම සම්බන්ධයෙන් ශ්‍රී ලංකා රේගුව
Sri Lanka Customs submitted 3 reports to the Inspector General of Police on January 20, February 23 and March 6, 2026 regarding funds being remitted overseas on the pretext of importing goods without any goods actually being brought into the country. The first report, dated January 20, 2026, identified 89 companies that had transferred money abroad through telegraphic transfers for imports, but no goods had been received in Sri Lanka. The report dated February 23, 2026, identified 4 additional companies, while the report dated March 6, 2026, identified a further 12 companies. According to the combined findings of these 3 reports, a total of 105 companies were involved. These 105 companies had collectively transferred approximately 214.7 billion rupees, equivalent to around $715 million overseas through telegraphic transfers. The reports state that no goods had been imported into Sri Lanka in exchange for these funds. Based on these findings, the Financial Crimes Investigation Division of the Criminal Investigation Department commenced an investigation. During the inquiry, we examined the 105 companies involved, including their directors and company secretaries. We found that only 55 individuals were connected to all 105 companies. A total of 227 bank accounts had been used in these transactions. The approximately $715 million had been transferred through nearly 24,300 telegraphic transfers. The report covered the period from January 1st, 2023 to March 2026. Our extensive investigations further revealed that 13 major banks in Sri Lanka, including both state-owned and private banks, were involved in facilitating these transactions. One individual connected to that company has already been arrested and legal proceedings are currently underway. He is presently being held in remand custody. This individual is linked to 43 companies and is listed as the owner of those entities. Investigations into those 43 companies revealed that he had transferred approximately $43 million overseas through telegraphic transfers during the relevant period. Further investigations uncovered that he obtained money from brokers in Sri Lanka and used forged documents supplied by those brokers to facilitate the transfers. These fraudulent documents were then submitted to banks in support of the transactions. For example, invoices were fabricated using computers located in rooms used by the brokers. These forged invoices were then submitted to banks, and in some instances, the transactions were carried out with the assistance of certain bank officials. As investigations continued, we also uncovered evidence that funds belonging to a major drug trafficker operating from Dubai had been remitted to the United Arab Emirates through this same mechanism. In connection with this investigation, 2 of the 3 principal suspects based in Dubai were brought back to Sri Lanka through Interpol assistance in recent months. Both individuals have since been remanded in custody. According to information provided by those suspects, money belonging to major narcotics traffickers was channeled through another individual based in Dubai. Funds collected in Sri Lanka were deposited into the suspects' accounts through brokers before being transferred overseas. Whether with full knowledge or otherwise of the origins of the funds, this individual effectively collected money generated through drug trafficking, retained a commission, and then facilitated telegraphic transfers abroad. When we examined his office and other associated locations, we found that many of the customs documents submitted to banks had been forged. In several cases, banks had specifically requested customs documentation, but the documents provided were fabricated and submitted as fraudulent records. We also received 2 additional complaints of a similar nature. One case emerged from the Kalaniya division, where officers inspecting a 3-wheeler discovered 30 million rupees in cash inside the vehicle. A detailed investigation into that cash revealed that it was being transported for deposit into the accounts of another company engaged in similar transactions. The individuals involved were linked to both narcotics abuse and drug trafficking activities. As a result, a separate investigation was launched into that company as well. That inquiry revealed that nearly $40 million had been remitted overseas through one leading state bank and 2 private banks using a similar method over the recent period.
මීට අදාළව දීර්ඝ විමර්ශනයක් අපරාධ පරීක්ෂණ දෙපාර්තමේන්තුවේ මූල අපරාධ විමර්ශන කොට්ටාශය මගින් සහ Proceeds of Crime Investigation Division එකකින් දැනට සිදු කරමින් පවතිනවා.
Former State Minister Shanta Bandara's son, Anuja Dinanjit Bandara, has been given 24-hour detention orders by the Colombo Fort Magistrates Court to facilitate further questioning. He was arrested and produced before court in connection with the alleged robbery of 20 million rupees belonging to a Chinese national. Investigations into the crime have now been handed over to the Colombo Central Crimes Investigation Bureau, and based on a request made by its officers, the court granted permission to detain and question the suspect. Preliminary investigations have already uncovered several significant details relating to the alleged robbery of the Chinese national's 20 million rupees. In addition to the son of former State Minister Shanta Bandara, police have also arrested the son of another businessman along with 2 other individuals in connection with the incident. The 3 suspects are currently being held in remand custody under court orders. According to police investigations, information regarding the 20 million rupee cash haul had allegedly been provided to the suspects by another Chinese national. Police say this Chinese national was engaged in transferring money electronically from Sri Lanka to foreign countries. Investigators have revealed that he had instructed the owner of the 20 million rupees to bring the cash for the purpose of transferring it overseas. It was while the money was being transported that the robbery is alleged to have taken place. Police have also launched a separate investigation into the origin of the 20 million rupees and the manner in which the funds were acquired.
Former President Gotabaya Rajapaksa's former personal secretary, Sugishwara Bandara, who is currently in remand custody over allegations of criminal misappropriation and misuse of funds allocated under the presidential expenditure head, was ordered to be further remanded until the 30th of July by the Colombo Fort Magistrates Court.
When the case was taken up again before Colombo Fort Magistrate Pasan Amarasena today, Sugishwara Bandara was produced before court by prison officials. Presenting the progress of investigations, investigating officers informed court that statements had been recorded from 5 officials attached to the Special Projects Unit where the suspect had served as Director General. The investigators stated that officials had been recruited to the Special Projects Unit based on a list allegedly submitted by the suspect. They further told court that investigations had not uncovered evidence to suggest that the unit had carried out any special projects during the relevant period. President's counsel Nalinda Indathissa, appearing on behalf of the suspect, suspect argued that the appointment to the position of Director General of Special Projects had been made in accordance with Article 41 of the Constitution. The President's Counsel further submitted that the suspect had not been involved in appointing officials to the Special Projects Unit or in the payment of salaries and allowances, and requested that his client be released on suitable bail conditions. After considering the submissions made by both parties, the magistrate fixed the 30th July for the order on the bail application and directed the suspect remain in remand custody until that date. Sugishwara Bandara was arrested by the Central Crimes Investigation Bureau on the 18th June over allegations that he had misused public funds by drawing salaries and allowances from allocations made under the Presidential Expenditure Head while serving as former President Gotabaya Rajapaksa's personal secretary and later as Director General of Special Projects under former President Ranil Wickremesinghe between the 14th July 2022 and the 21st December 2024.
Former Navy Commander Admiral Ravindra Vijay Gunaratne, who was recently renamed as a suspect in the case relating to the alleged abduction of 11 youths, was today ordered to be released on bail by the Colombo Fort Magistrates Court. The suspect was released on 2 surety bails of 1 million rupees each.
The case was taken up once again before Colombo Fort Magistrate Pasan Amarasena and relates to allegations that Vijay Gunaratne, along with the 2 accused, aided and abetted former Navy Lieutenant Commander Chandra Prasad Hettiarachi, also known as Navy Sampath, who had been wanted under an arrest warrant in connection with the alleged abduction of 11 youths during the 2008-2009 period. Vijay Gunaratne, who had previously been named as a suspect and released on bail in the case, was discharged from the proceedings on the 3rd January 2024. Following instructions issued by then Attorney General Sanjay Rajaratnam. However, after considering representations made by the aggrieved party, investigating officers reviewed the matter and redesignated former Navy Commander Admiral Vijay Gunaratne as a suspect on the 10th June this year. On that occasion, the Fort Magistrate issued notices directing him to appear before court today. In compliance with the court order, Vijay Gunaratne appeared before the magistrate. After considering the facts presented, Magistrate Amarasena ordered that the former Navy Commander be released on bail. Former Navy Lieutenant Commander Chandra Prasad Hettiarachi and Laksiri Amarasinghe, who are currently out on bail in connection with the case, were present before court when the matter was called. The court also read out the amended charge sheets to the suspects today, following which all accused pleaded not guilty to the charges. After considering the submissions made by all parties, the Colombo Fort Magistrate fixed the 9th December for the commencement of the trial in the case.
A tragic road accident near Mohini Falls in Nallatania claimed the lives of 2 people and left 3 school children injured after a 3-wheeler overturned this morning.
The accident occurred at around 7:30 a.m. today on the Muskelia-Nallatania main road. The 3-wheeler was travelling from Nallatania towards Muskelia at the time of the accident, carrying 5 occupants. Police said the accident occurred while 3 school children, aged 12 and 15, were being transported to school. According to police, the 2 seriously injured victims, aged 46 and 26, succumbed to their injuries while being admitted to the Muskelia District Hospital. Meanwhile, a tense situation arose when attempts were being made to transfer the injured victims to another hospital for further treatment. Later, the 3 injured students were transferred to the Hatton Dikkoya Base Hospital for further treatment by an ambulance from the Agrapatana District Hospital. One of the injured schoolgirls had subsequently been transferred to the National Hospital in Kandy for specialized treatment. The bodies of the two deceased individuals have been placed at the Muskelia District Hospital pending further investigations.
Sri Lanka's passport is beginning to regain ground on the world stage. The latest Henley Passport Index places the Sri Lankan passport 2 positions above its late 2025 ranking, an encouraging sign in the country's continuing journey towards greater global mobility and international engagement.
Notably, Sri Lanka's passport has achieved its strongest global ranking in a decade.
For millions of Sri Lankans, a passport is more than a travel document. It represents opportunity, connection, and the freedom to engage with the wider world. And Sri Lanka's passport story is now showing signs of renewed momentum. The latest July 2026 Henley Passport Index ranked Sri Lanka 94th in the world, a recovery of 5 positions from the country's late 2025 ranking of 96th. Sri Lankan passport holders can currently travel to 39 destinations without first obtaining a conventional visa through visa-free entry, visa-on-arrival arrangements, or qualifying electronic travel authorizations. The improvement is measured rather than dramatic, but its direction is significant. After losing ground during 2025, Sri Lanka has stabilized its position and begun to move forward again, reflecting the continuing importance of diplomacy, strong international relationships, and greater engagement with the world. And as Sri Lankans seek easier access to the world, Sri Lanka is also making itself easier for the world to visit. Since May, travellers from 39 countries have been eligible for a free 30-day tourist electronic travel authorization, reducing barriers and making the island a more welcoming and competitive destination. Sri Lanka's passport has not yet completed its journey towards greater global strength, but the country has recovered ground. It is travelling outward with renewed confidence, while opening its doors more widely to the world.
Meanwhile, Sri Lanka's export sector has also recorded its highest ever performance for the first 6 months of a year, surpassing the $9 billion mark and demonstrating resilience despite global economic uncertainties and ongoing geopolitical challenges. Export Development Board Chairman Mangala Vijayasinghe announced that Sri Lanka's total export earnings exceeded $9 billion during the first half of 2026.
During last 6-month time period, Sri Lankan export sector has reached ever highest export performance by reaching more than $9 billion value export performance, and compared with last year, this is more than 8.9%. And also from the merchandising export sector has reached more than 7 billion export performance with the 8.9%, and the service sector also more than 4.5% we can see during last 6-month time period. Mainly sectors like we can mention the Sri Lankan apparel sector is leading so far, so it has reached more than 2.4 billion export value. So in addition to that, rubber sector, coconut sector, gem and jewellery, food and beverage, electrical electronics, Sri Lankan spices, and the seafood sector has shown a significant performance during last 6 months. And then the ICT sector and transport and logistics sector also showing a steady growth during last 6-month time period. And the country-wise we can see still we are having very good export performance from the USA, India, Italy, then again the Australia, Japan, Mexico, China has shown a significant performance during last 6 months, and also other countries also having we can see a lot of performance. Despite having some external challenges like Middle East crisis, our exporters are facing some difficulties when they are exporting some product due to the transportation cost and the insurance cost is high. We have seen that steady growth from our exporter side also. Therefore, from this achievement, we will highly appreciate the performance from the exporters.
Today's parliamentary proceedings were allocated for questions submitted for oral answers. During the session, Prime Minister Dr. Harini Amrasuriya responded to a question raised by opposition leader Sajid Premadasa regarding the Mahapula scholarship scheme.
According to the Department of Census and Statistics, headline inflation has increased from 5.5% in May to 6.8% in June. The Department of Census and Statistics claims that as of May 2026, 17,315 rupees is sufficient for one person to survive for 30 days. I honestly do not accept that figure. I would like to ask how, in the face of rising inflation, this increase in the Mahapula scholarship can genuinely be considered sufficient. The reality is that not only university students, but the entire population is struggling under the growing burden of the cost of living. People are facing immense pressure and hardship, and many are finding it extremely difficult to make ends meet. Furthermore, I would like to ask you whether you accept the Department of Census and Statistics claim that a person can survive for 30 days on 17,315 rupees. Do you agree with that?
The question before us concerns the Mahapula Fund. If we want to have a separate debate on inflation, we can do that separately. During the period when inflation in this country reached 70%, the Mahapula scholarship was only 4,000 rupees. It remained at 4,000 rupees even when inflation had climbed to 70%. We have now doubled it. During our tenure, inflation has never reached 70%. Yet, we have doubled the scholarship within 2 years. That is all I need to say. Going forward, we are prepared to revise it further whenever necessary. At a time when inflation was much higher than it is today, the Mahapula scholarship was not increased by even a few cents. We have increased it by 100%. I believe that alone demonstrates our approach and allows the people of this country to understand our commitment.
We cannot be held responsible for the period when inflation reached 70% because a different government was in power at that time. Therefore, I would like to ask a very clear question. Do you believe a person in this country can survive for 30 days on 17,315 rupees?
Honorable Prime Minister.
That is not a point of order, and I'm not required to answer it. What I personally believe is not relevant to this discussion. What matters is making decisions based on data and policy. We do not make decisions based on personal beliefs. We make decisions based on policy, evidence, data, and scientific analysis.
The no-confidence motion against Justice Minister Attorney-at-Law Harshana Nanakara is scheduled to be debated in Parliament the day after tomorrow, following a decision taken at today's party leaders' meeting. The motion was submitted to the Speaker of Parliament by opposition parties in the wake of the recent clash at the Negombo prison. The opposition has accused the Justice Minister of failing to prevent the incident and has cited the prison unrest as the basis for seeking a no-confidence debate against him. In more local news, the Monetary Policy Board has decided to maintain the overnight policy rate, or the OPR, at the current level of 8.75%. The central bank said that the board arrived at this decision after carefully considering the evolving conditions and outlook on the domestic and global fronts. At the same time, Sri Lanka's economy continued its recovery momentum during the first quarter of 2026, recording 5.1% growth, even as rising inflation and renewed geopolitical tensions in the Middle East posed fresh challenges to the country's economic outlook.
The positive side is that we are seeing the foreign exchange part, import demand has been now curtailed, and exchange rate has now much more stable for some time as a result of all the measures. And what we expect going forward, that measure that we took last time is a strong measure. Full impact will be felt in the next couple of months. So until next review, we will be monitoring closely the situation and also any emerging risk that we see right now, the re-emerging and again increasing petrol price, how that will affect the local pricing, domestic pricing, and how that is going to translate into inflation, the short term as well as medium term. What is the important one is that in terms of inflation expectation, that has been very well anchored. And we also see in our predictions There could be a little uptick in inflation in next couple of months as a result of pass-through of last price increases. It will come back to a normal, our target level of 5% after the initial spike that we're going to see in this couple of months. So that's what we see right now.
The People's Liberation Army of China, one of the world's largest armed forces, marks its 99th founding anniversary this year. A commemorative ceremony was held in Colombo yesterday to mark milestone ahead of the official anniversary following on the 1st of August.
The 99th anniversary of the founding of the People's Liberation Army of China was commemorated in Colombo yesterday, ahead of the official anniversary on the 1st of August. The People's Liberation Army of China was established on the 1st of August 1927 and has since developed into one of the world's largest armed forces. A commemorative reception was hosted by the Chinese embassy in Sri Lanka, bringing together senior Sri Lankan government representatives, defense officials, military personnel, diplomats and members of the Chinese community.
On the occasion of the 99th anniversary of the founding of the Chinese People's Liberation Army, on behalf of the Chinese embassy in Sri Lanka, I would like to pay my highest respects to the glorious PLA and express my heartfelt gratitude to all friends who have cared for and supported China's national defense and military modernization. This year marks 105th anniversary of the founding of the Communist Party of China, as well as 90th anniversary of the victory of the Long March and the opening year of the 15th five-year plan. Looking back on China's remarkable achievements, the most fundamental guarantee is the strong leadership of the Communist Party of China. Entering the new era under the guidance of President Xi Jinping's thought on strengthening the army military, the PLA upgrades military equipment, optimizes troop structures, and enhances overall combat capabilities to safeguard national security and global peace. The global landscape is undergoing profound changes, and the hegemonism and power politics continue to prevail. The international community faces a danger of a return to the law of the jungle. China stands ready to work with all nations to firmly uphold the UN-centered international system, the international order, based on international law and the basic norms governing international relations, based on the purposes and the principles of a UN Charter, while steadfastly practicing true multilateralism. China pursues external relations based on the principles of non-alignment, non-confrontation, and not targeting any third party. Facts have repeatedly shown that the stronger China grows, the more peaceful the world will become. The more China develops, the more prosperous the world gets.
The PLA has consistently demonstrated its professionalism through historic victories over the past 99 years, establishing itself as a world-class military. The relationship between Sri Lanka and China is built not only on strong diplomatic ties, but on a deep-rooted friendship shaped by centuries of cultural exchange and shared aspirations. Throughout history, China has remained a steadfast partner and a genuine friend to Sri Lanka, particularly during our nation's most critical moments. This bond, forged in ancient times, has only grown stronger with the passage of time. Sri Lanka extended diplomatic recognition to the People's Republic of China in 1950, becoming the first country in South Asia to do so. In 1952, our two nations entered into the historic Rubber Ice Pact. Over the course of 76 years of diplomatic relations, we have stood together in a spirit of mutual respect, equality, and enduring solidarity. This partnership has become a shining example of how countries, regardless of size or geography, can build meaningful, long-lasting, and mutually beneficial relationships. Furthermore, this enduring commitment has thrived over the years through frequent, high-level visits between our two countries.
The Chinese ambassador to Sri Lanka and his wife were presented with a special souvenir during the event.
New Delhi is witnessing one of the biggest student-led protests in recent years as the youth-driven Cockroach Janta Party movement intensifies its campaign over alleged failures in India's examination system, demanding accountability and sweeping education reforms.
Tinal Tilakaratna brings us the latest.
Yes, Jamal and Mithana, as you mentioned, there is a student protest underway in India against the centre over the alleged NEET paper leak. To add to it, the BJP launched its own nationwide protest against Rahul Gandhi, objecting to the leader of opposition's Dharna outside the Prime Minister's residence over paper leak and seeking education reforms on Tuesday. Then there's a third protest too. The Congress has launched a countrywide protest condemning the detention of Rahul Gandhi and other party leaders in Delhi, while also condemning the police action against students during their protest at Janta Mantar on Monday. The Cockroach Janta Party, or the CJP, which has the students' protest seeking Education Minister Dharmendra Pradhan's resignation, has made it clear that for any talks for resolution, the government will have to take the lead. Now, the talks said it can be held at a neutral venue or at the Janta Mantar. Let's take a look.
Why are students protesting? The CJP-led demonstrations began after growing anger among students over alleged irregularities in national examinations, including concerns over paper leaks and accountability within India's education system. The protesters are demanding the resignation of Union Education Minister Dharmendra Pradhan, a transparent investigation into examination-related failures, stronger safeguards against paper leaks, compensation and support for affected students and families, and structural reforms in India's competitive examination system. The movement gained further momentum after activist Sonam Wangchuk joined the agitation, including through a hunger strike demanding government action. Wangchuk was shifted from Safdarjung Hospital to Medanta Hospital in Gurugram last evening following a Delhi High Court order, while crowds at Janta Mantar continued to swell in support of the ongoing protest. What is the Indian government's response? The Indian government has rejected accusations of ignoring students, but acknowledged the need for improvements in the examination system. However, today, the government has agreed to meet the Cockroach Janta Party or CJP delegation for the second time in 3 days. Amid the protest, Prime Minister Narendra Modi called for the strictest possible punishment for those responsible for the NEET paper leak. Union Education Minister Dharmendra Pradhan has also promised reforms and greater accountability, stating that steps will be taken to strengthen examination procedures and restore confidence among students. The current situation at Janta Mantar. As of now, the protests continue to draw large crowds in Delhi, with the CJP leadership insisting that demonstrations will continue until their demands are addressed. The Delhi police yesterday registered 4 FIRs against unknown individuals for rioting, assault on public servants, damage to public property and other offences during Monday's CJP protest. Hundreds of people across the country and abroad ordered food with the location as the Janta Mantar protest site and instructions to give the food to the protesters.
Weather first.
What will the weather look like across the island over the next few hours?
We now cross over to Viara Virakun for the weather report.
Yes. Thank you, Omitra and Jamal. The Department of Meteorology has warned of strong winds affecting several parts of the country, with gusts of between 40 and 50 kilometers per hour expected at times in the northern and north-central provinces, as well as the Hambantota and Trincomalee districts. According to the latest weather advisory, the prevailing windy conditions are expected to impact these areas intermittently, prompting authorities to urge the public to remain cautious. Now, the department has also issued a special advisory for operators of multi-day fishing vessels. Winds over the sea areas are expected to blow from the southwest, with speeds ranging between 30 and 40 kilometers per hour. Meanwhile, a few showers may occur during the morning hours in coastal areas of the western and northwestern provinces and in the Gaur district. Apart from these isolated showers, mainly dry weather is expected to prevail across most parts of the island.
Weather first.
Taking a look back at more local news, a delegation of European Union representatives visiting Jaffna inspected the Chemmani mass grave excavation works today. Meanwhile, a protest was also staged today, organized by the Northern and Eastern Provinces Association of Relatives of Enforced Disappearances.
The ambassador of the European Union to Sri Lanka and the Maldives, Carmen Moreno, German ambassador Dr. Felix Neumann, French ambassador Remy Lambert, Italian ambassador Damiano Francovi, ambassador of the Kingdom of the Netherlands to Sri Lanka, Wiebe Jacob de Boer, along with European Union officials, Deputy Head of Mission Galia Agisheva and Head of Cooperation Dr. Johan Hess, inspected the excavation work at the Chemmani mass grave today. During the visit, the delegation observed the excavation sites and discussed the situation from the magistrate, lawyers and the judicial medical officer who were present. The EU delegation also undertook this visit in accordance with the permission granted by the Jaffna Magistrates Court to inspect the Chemmani mass grave. Meanwhile, as the EU representatives went to observe the excavation at the Chemmani mass grave, members of the Northern and Eastern Provinces Association of Relatives of the Enforced Disappearances staged a protest on the A9 main road. The protest was carried out demanding justice through an international investigation, stating that they have no confidence in the domestic investigation mechanism. Police officers at the Jaffna headquarters informed the protesters of the order issued by the Jaffna magistrate prohibiting protests that block the main road and cause traffic disruptions. Meanwhile, the EU delegation also met and held discussions with representatives of the Northern and Eastern Association of Relatives of the Disappeared who were participating in the protest. During this meeting, a petition was also handed over to the delegation. The 40th day of the third phase of excavation work at the Chemmani human mass grave in Jaffna was carried out today. The excavation work was conducted today in the presence of Jaffna Magistrate S. Lenin Kumar. During the process today, 4 new human skeletons were identified. Today, 11 skeletons were excavated from the site. In 1996, a schoolgirl, Krishanti Kumaraswamy, was sexually assaulted and murdered. The military personnel found guilty in this murder case stated that between 400 and 600 young men and women were killed and buried in the Chemmani area. Based on this confession, excavation work at the Chemmani mass grave was carried out for the first time from August 1999 until 2000 and later halted. After many years, human remains were recovered from within the Chemmani Hindu cemetery when pits were dug for development work in February 2025. It is notable that excavation work in this area has been ongoing in 3 phases since then.
The Bar Association of Sri Lanka is set to host the International Legal Symposium 2026, a landmark event aimed at fostering discussions on contemporary legal challenges and developments. A media briefing was held today to announce details of the symposium.
The International Legal Symposium 2026, organized by the Bar Association of Sri Lanka, will be held from the 7th of August to the 10th of August. The International Legal Symposium 2026 will coincide with the official visit of the Chair of the Bar Council of England and Wales, Kirsty Brimlow KC, who will attend the event along with her delegation, adding an international dimension to the discussions.
Now this we plan to discuss as to how ADR or alternate dispute resolution, particularly arbitration, can be used to encourage FDIs to come to Sri Lanka. In the afternoon, we also seek to discuss mediation and the increasing importance of ADR and mediation in commercial disputes. It is planned to discuss professional ethics, transparency and advertising for the bar. Now, as you may or may not know, in other areas, including the Bar of England and Wales, there are certain regulations put by the bar itself, not by an outsider, not by a government, but by the bar itself on self-regulation on how to inform the client before they come to your chamber, including advertising on their websites as to what their contract terms are, on what terms they will engage with the client. And this transparency, I think, will encourage even the Sri Lankan litigant, some who may be cautious or who may be reluctant to come to a lawyer thinking that we don't know how much it's going to cost us because there is massive talk on expenses, on litigation. Now, this sort of dialogue we think is important on how to discuss self-regulation of the bar within ourselves as to how to make justice more accessible to the public. So this is also a topic that we will be discussing.
Over the course of 3 days, legal experts and professionals will engage in discussions on key areas, including attracting foreign direct investment and strengthening commercial jurisdictions, artificial intelligence in the legal sector, data protection, client confidentiality, environmental justice, corporate responsibility, deferred prosecution, child abuse and witness protection.
Sri Lanka's electricity sector was discussed at an event organized by the Public Utilities Commission.
I would like to emphasize the fact that how important this feed-in tariff to the Sri Lankan economy is. To give you a little heads up, so far there are 2,900 megawatts of renewable capacity recently added to the grid for the last 10 years, I would say. And out of this, 2,500 megawatts from rooftop and the feed-in tariff mechanism based renewable energy sources like mini hydro and even ground mounted in the basis of feed-in tariffs. And fortunately, very proudly we can say we have added almost about 150,000 prosumers that was governed and owned by 4 or 5 companies in the country. Now it's been split into the prosumer. So you and I and everyone in this country have the privilege of being a part of our renewable energy journey if the feed-in tariff persists. And for the moment, Sri Lanka, we are saving $10 billion from this 2,900 megawatts of renewable energy as an avoided cost. If this has not been there, we would be spending close to $10 billion for fossil fuel to get this same volume of energy into the national grid. So you can understand how important this feed-in tariff is.
The choir of St. Bridget's Convent, Colombo 7, secured international recognition at the Singapore International Choir Festival 2026. Newsfirst Tiara Anthony reports.
Right now behind me, I have the talented voices from the choir of St. Bridget's Convent who arrived at the Bandar Naik International Airport after returning from the Singapore Choral Festival of Choirs 2026. Now, representing Sri Lanka, these 175 proud Bridgetine choristers have brought immense pride and glory to our motherland by enabling to secure 1 gold medal and 2 silver medals in 3 competitive categories.
A triumphant welcome awaited the choir of St. Bridget's Convent, Colombo 7, as 175 talented Bridgetine choristers returned to Sri Lanka after delivering a remarkable performance at the prestigious Singapore International Choir Festival 2026, securing 1 gold award and 2 silver awards while competing against 73 choirs from 13 countries. Representing Sri Lanka on one of the region's most respected international choral platforms, the St. Bridget's Choir showcased exceptional musical talent, discipline and perseverance, bringing pride to both their school and the country. The Singapore International Choir Festival is widely recognized as a celebration of choral excellence and artistic expression, attracting choirs from around the world, including professional ensembles, amateur groups, conservatories and music academies. The festival serves as a major international stage for musical and cultural exchange.
Could you tell what was the most challenging part to prepare 175 choristers at an international scale, and what do you think made St. Bridget's stand out from the rest?
We had a preparation of 2 months. It was quite a challenge because 13 countries, 70 choirs, and from Europe, Estonia, Czech Republic, Southeast Asia, South Asia, Oceania, that is Australia, New Zealand. So it was a very good experience for our students to open their eyes to what is happening beyond our borders and the standards.
The 175-member Bridgetine delegation was the largest contingent at the festival, coming as St. Bridget's Convent celebrates its 125th anniversary. The achievement stands as a testament to the school's long-standing tradition of excellence in music and the performing arts.
Big matches, medal success and a slice of sporting history. Sri Lanka's athletes and officials were making headlines both at home and abroad today.
To tell us more, we have Viara Virakod.
Thank you once again, Omitra and Jamal. Now, Sri Lanka's sporting spotlight stretched from the tennis courts of Colombo to the international stage today, with the Davis Cup getting underway. National athletes bringing home medals and a pioneering achievement in Commonwealth Games gymnastics.
The 2026 Davis Cup Asia Oceania Zone Group 4 tennis tournament got underway in Colombo today. The tournament features the participation of 7 nations. The competition is being held at the Sri Lanka Tennis Association headquarters. Iraq, Northern Mariana Islands, Qatar, Turkmenistan, Kyrgyzstan, Kuwait and host Sri Lanka are competing in the tournament. Sri Lanka faced Qatar in their opening fixture today. Teams representing Kuwait, Turkmenistan, Kyrgyzstan and Iran also competed in matches played today. The tournament is scheduled to conclude on the 25th July. Sri Lanka fast bowler Kavya Kavindi has been ruled out of the one-day international series against Pakistan women. The decision was made due to a viral infection. Sri Lanka Cricket announced today that Malki Madara has been called up to the national squad as her replacement. The 3-match ODI series is scheduled to begin tomorrow at the Hambantota International Cricket Stadium. The Sri Lankan team that won medals at the 10th South Asian Karate Championship held in Bangladesh returned to the island. Sri Lanka secured a total of 85 medals at the championship. The tally includes 13 gold medals, 23 silver medals and 49 bronze medals. Sri Lanka's Amaya Situmini departed the country today to officiate at the Commonwealth Games. Amaya will serve as a judge in the gymnastics competition. Notably, she becomes the first Sri Lankan woman to officiate as a gymnastics judge at a Commonwealth Games event.
And that's a wrap of Primetime News for tonight.
Thank you for watching. Good night.